welcome to another week of Real Racin Radio. I'm John Quinn, and I'm joined, of course, by Mario Chambers, the host of Real Racin Radio. Tonight we've got Randall Coleman back after the first truck test of the season for Revolution. We also have Nathan Curtis joining us later and another special guest. We're going to go ahead and bring in Randall Coleman at this time. First things first, Randall, how was your truck today in testing?
Awful. Nah, it was pretty decent. Had a pretty good Q run. Kind of screwed up at the trial and didn't get as fast as what I thought I would. And throughout the race, it was pretty decent. Got in a little checkup incident and flattened the whole left side and got that worked out a little. Still came home third, so it was a pretty good run. Know what to need to work on. So.
And how did you feel restarts went? I know it was a small pack, but were restarts kind of hectic, or were they working out there pretty smooth?
They seemed to be pretty smooth. I mean, there was a couple times on restart. For me, for instance, I would not get a good bite and get to take off as fast as I thought I would, or just wasn't paying attention. You almost got to be smooth to get a good jump and to get going.
So, Revolution, of course, a lot of changes this season from last season. The number one change that we've noticed is that they will be taking the start time back a half hour for the truck series. Is this a good call in your opinion?
I believe it is. I mean, with the time getting moved back, I believe there are going to be a lot more drivers that will be showing up and racing, because a lot of them wasn't able to because of work issues and several things like that, and school getting ready to end here, and it'll bring a lot more people in, I believe. So I definitely believe it's a good move.
Another change, of course, is the debate over open setups at super speedways. Obviously, forum-wise, you've made it very clear that you were for this. What's some of your reasoning on that?
Well, I mean, I'm definitely for it. I've raced in several different other leagues that, ran open setups and super speedway races, and I mean, a lot of people they have their I guess you could say bad issues with open setups, and then some have better times with them. For me, for instance, I've always ran fixed setups for the longest time, and it just seemed that you were running circles and you had nowhere to go unless you had someone that was committed to work with you. And with open setups, you have the option to build your setup to your liking, and you can run more than one line. You can be competitive, and with teammates, you can really go. I mean, for instance, with my setup that I have, the high line is the place to be. You get 3, 4 cars, same setup hooked up. I mean, you can just head to the front. And I believe that it's a lot more close racing with open setups than it's fixed, because you can go 2 by 2 instead of just running one straight line. And I believe it also will cut down cautions, only because you'll have them guys who put a lot of effort into their setups run up front, and the ones who kind of struggle a little, they'll be towards the back, and it kind of equals out. But there's a lot of pros and cons to it, but I'm definitely for it, especially if you want to run for a championship. I mean, you almost, with a fixed setup, it kind of handicaps them guys who put a lot of effort into their setups, and it kind of brings everybody to one level, and that might be a good thing for several drivers. But for instance, if you're running for a championship, you want to be out there with what you got and what you know you have to be able to compete and get to the front and possibly win races and win championships.
All right, great. Thank you for the opinion. Obviously, as we said, you're very open on the forum about it, as many people are. and it's great to hear, the reasoning behind it. Obviously, I am for one of the people who voted to make it open alongside of you and many others. Another thing that they've been discussing is the caution rules, which, of course, last season wore 2 cautions and you would park. What's your feeling on that? What should that rule stick around as?
Well, at first I voted for the extended to 3. I thought that the racing was getting pretty good to the point where, a lot of drivers weren't making the mistakes that they were, and that if you had made it 3, I still believe that they wouldn't have been trying as hard because they knew that there was a set limit. Now, when it became a tie, I kind of struggled to go back to the 2 caution rule just because I believe there needs to be a caution rule in effect, because if you just have where you get the end of the longest line, how many ever times you wreck, you're damaged, and you can really ruin a lot of other drivers' races. So, with that being said, I believe that the 2 caution rule needs to stick around since it didn't get moved to 3, just because you have that, we've had that real good racing lately, and that was one of the reasons why.
All right, great. Given the fact that obviously there has been better competition, do you see that as a factor because of the yellow flag rule, or do you think that the people have just stepped up their abilities?
Well, I believe it's a little bit of both. I mean, there are several drivers out there that first came in kind of like myself. I struggled at first, and I learned the ropes. I learned how to drive around the tracks, how to be courteous, respectful, in the whole meantime of it, I was just learning. And with a lot of that knowledge, it just makes you a lot better on the track. Compete against some guys who've been doing it for several years. And I believe there's a lot of drivers out there that has done the same thing that I have, which has shown. And, I mean, you get better racing. You don't see the same guys up front winning as it used to be. You see a lot more mixture of drivers finishing in the top 10, top 5. And I believe that the competition level is getting really, really tight. And the yellow flag rule, I believe it kind of helps thin them out. It kind of tells you, this is the limit that I can go, and I need to be within that limit if I want to continue to race. And by doing that, then they get a whole lot better.
All right, now, Randall, from the beginning of Revolution Racing, we've always known you as the guy in the number 25 for High Caliber Motorsport. A few years later, you switched to your own team at Revolution Motorsports, and now you've built this team into the very big powerhouse that it really is. So can you just give us a rundown on your team, and how do you feel like their strengths are, and how do you feel like that strength will be portrayed this season?
Well, as you said, we've become a pretty big powerhouse over there at RL, and it's all because of the commitment to get for the drivers. I mean, they put a lot of hours into making setups, practicing with them, knowing what they can and can't do, and that goes a long way. I mean, we all have our strong points, and we also have our weaknesses, but I believe that there's more stronger points now for my team than what it was the previous 2 seasons. We've added good driver coming in, Adam Sweet. He's a threat every week, and I mean, you add him with Maverick and Josh and self, and we got the up and coming Nathan Curtis. He's right now he's just getting into the thing. I mean, he's a work in progress, but he has shown a lot of talent. I mean, he actually finished second tonight, which was very good for him. And I mean, I'm proud of all my drivers. I know what they can do on the track, and it just shows each and every week that we're there to contend. And if you want to win a title, a team championship, I mean, you look at us first. you got to come and be 5 talented drivers. So.
And obviously, we of course refer to Revolution as the first response for the league. League-wise, it's the first choice that everybody considers your team at. Is there any other leagues that Revolution as a team goes to, and that you are just as competitive, or less competitive, or even in this case more dominant?
Well, there was a few leagues that we ran in previously, and we had a lot of success at them. Several of them, shut down now and not running. The only other one that we're currently running in is Sunday Morning Wannabes, and right now my team, they're building, I guess you could say. Only had 2 drivers on there. Myself, I'm running for another team over there, so I'm not really there with them, but we still share setups, and we still, communicate as a team. Now, like I said, we only have 2 drivers that's currently on the team, which is Jeffrey McClintock and Nathan Curtis. And Jeffrey, who is also on the line team at RL, he has also shown a lot of talent. I mean, he can drive. He just has bad luck every now and then. And I believe if he gets enough momentum going for him, he can do something just as much as Nathan can.
And obviously, you bring up Nathan a lot as the up and comer. Obviously new, only his second season this year. 2 wins in his first season. On that note, on only I believe it was 31 starts, so pretty good for a rookie season. He personally feels like his strengths are, of course, the super speedways. What do you feel on that on Nathan's abilities?
Well, as of now, I would agree with him that the super speedways, he's kind of getting down, learning a lot better. I mean, you go full throttle, all out every single lap, and that does take a lot of talent because, I mean, you got to be watching, you got to watch people check up, and for him, that's a start. Now, I would also say that he's getting some of them tracks down like Texas and Atlanta, and I think he had a decent run at Darlington and several tracks like that. I mean, I think he really struggles on the shorter tracks, but like I said, as he's learning, you can see he's progressing into a better driver. It just takes time, and he's very dedicated and willing to take his time to learn.
So you would say that patience is one of the number 1 keys to really succeeding and growing?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, going back to me, it took me 2 full seasons, really, to actually be up there running with them top guys. And yeah, I might not have been quite as fast as them, but I was there and outlasted the rest of the people. And I believe that, with that being said, that a lot of times if you look and you take your time and you learn from them drivers, that you will be sooner or later up at the top. And so patience is really the key. I mean, even if you're patient in the race, you have a lot of guys that wreck out, and you just take your time. Even if you don't have to be the fastest car every week. You just take your time. You can finish top 10, top 5. Might even break out somehow, get lucky once in a while, catch everybody a lap down, be the leader, win the race. It's just like, you said, it's just about patience and waiting, learning.
And going back to the Nathan Curtis thing, you said that he does good at the super speedways. You have to keep your eyes open. On that note, the super speedway is, of course, the start and end of the season at Revolution. We start at Talladega and end at Daytona. Do you feel that helps your team more, ending on